did anyone else think when Hara said espresso about this song, Espresso Macchiato? Anyone? Yes, me too. So now when I walked up, I really felt like that was playing, like an intro song. But it was in my head. I just wanted to share that with you. But I'm Markus. I work with sales in the Nordics for Mews. And I used to be a camp manager in Botswana. And it was amazing. Like, you fly into Joburg, and then from Joburg you take a smaller plane, and then you fly to Maun. And when you come to Maun, you take an even smaller plane, usually with like 6 seats. And then you fly for like an hour, something like that, depending on, the winds and stuff. And if you need to like go, around clouds, you would land on a sand airstrip, and then you would jump in a car and you would go for another hour and a half, something like this, and you would come to our lodge. And when you come to this lodge, people would stand there, like everyone would be lined up, and they would stand singing, like Dumela, like this. And it's like the perfect welcome experience for guests coming there. And then they would get, we knew their favorite bourbon, so they would get that. And everything would be like super tailored for these people. And that's like, the perfect guest experience, I think. Obviously, it's not possible. They paid between $4,000 and $10,000 per night to stay there. So, it was possible to do all this kind of stuff. But every now and then I would, go back from Maun. I would go to Maun from the lodge, and we come into the office. And this, like Botswana, people are very sensitive. But so I needed to get something from the end guy, the big boss. So I walked through his office, and there are people sitting there. And I was like, I need to get to Dorian, And then Dorian isn't in this office. So I was like, oh shit, okay. So I asked somebody who would sit by their computer, have you seen Dorian? And they don't look up. They just like keep staring. It's like they don't hear me or something. So I'm like, okay, go to the next person. That's weird, right? Go to the next person. Still the same thing. And I was like, hello, can someone, talk to me? And then someone says, now when you walked into this office, you treated everyone like a dead tree, like a tree log. And tree logs cannot speak, So I'm a tree log now, I'm a dead tree. So that's why nobody speaks back to you. And this is like, for me, this was like a massive learning experience, because people need to be seen, People this is like the essence of hospitality. People need to be taken care of. And for me, this is, try to think about that now back when you're in, Europe again, like we were all stressed and all this kind of stuff, but, we forget. Today I'll be talking about some automation, AI. This is a different thing than Africa, but how we can free up time here to spend time with the guests, because when technology and all that kind of stuff, but the idea is to free up time to spend with people. Oh, yeah. I didn't have a Botswana slide. Julie is freaking out because I'm not talking what she said I should talk about. So in this real world, people are still stuck behind computer screens, People are like, why are we accepting that when you check in, people are not, talking to you? They just like stand behind a screen with all this manual stuff. It's not their fault. Like, it's just the way this is, and it's terrible. we have data that, companies actually lose 20 to 30 percent of annual revenue, like they not actualize it due to these manual processes and inefficiencies. There is also to provide a personal guest experience. You don't have to run the world's most luxurious lodge to have a personal guest experience. You should actually be able to do that and you can now with technology to do that with a much smaller budget, because technology is democratized now. You don't have to have a huge budget to actually enable your staff to do this. And 61% of consumers are willing to pay more to have a personalized guest experience, but only 23% are actually experiencing that they are getting that high level of personalization during their stays. Not so much guest journey maybe, but there are also revenue managers here, I think. And revenue managers are stuck a lot with admin today. We have a report that revenue managers just spend I think this is a bit weird, 5% in strategy. Meetings doesn't really mean anything. But to actually plan and they do much more admin work than they should be doing. So we have now seen. Oh yes, shit! I have to click also. Sorry. Here we go. Click. That's what so what we have discovered now is that we have we see 3 trends in the industry, and one is that we want to automate, right? Bottom line is of course the thing here, but we want to be more efficient through automation. We also need to empower staff to actually do this personal guest experience, and also then maximize revenue with how you are working in your hotels with the resources that you have. So when you move to a cloud solution like Mews, the diamond sponsor, we have seen an average of 24% increase at the inefficiencies in the front desk. And this is, of course, a lot of time, right? We have data on this. They're empowering guests to do self-service check-ins. We have a lot of tools to actually do these, that the guests check in themselves. It could be through kiosks, it could be an online guest journey, payment terminals, digital keys, and so on. But the bottom line is that people are now enabled to actually focus more on their guests. City Hub. Has anyone been to City Hub? No one? Yes, of course. Anna from Bookboost. City Hub is very cool. It's a super budget, actually. They have these little L-shaped boxes where it looks, I don't know, it's a bit strange. But it's they do 100% check-in on kiosk. They have a really nice guest journey. And they have these wristbands that they walk around with to pay for and to enter their different rooms and stuff. But they also have city hosts. And the city host is like a concierge type of person, a friend, if you will. And you can actually chat with these people on their website as well. And they have these introductions of these, of course, really hip people. I'm a Martin from Australia. I love surfing. Talk to me. And this is a little bit what they are doing. And it's really, really cool because actually this super budget kind of concept then has a really nice guest experience. They actually get what a 5-star hotel usually would be able to give you, but in this funky vibe. And then the second one is a second trend is personalization. And what Mews is sort of, it's not built on like rooms and transactions like maybe your normal PMS system, but like other ones. It's built on profiles, and when we build something like designed it around profiles, you can do a lot of other things. I think they spoke about customer lifetime value. This is something what you are immediately able to see, like how much have this guest spent when they in your property, how much have they spent in all your properties? So you could like just get a quick glimpse on that. But what it also does is that it allows us to, or you, the hotels, to collect data, and good data on these profiles. And with this, you can do stuff. But until now, like it hasn't, like what do you do with it? Like you can't so efficiently access and do something with this data. That's been an issue since forever. This, I think, is probably my favorite thing that we did last year. We released something called Smart Tips. It's like a tweet, so you can see this in different parts of the platform, but it collects data from all kinds of places in the system. It's not something that somebody has like typed in, so it comes up for this person. Like it is like a generative AI sort of collecting this, giving this information to this staff member. But what it allows is that, you've probably checked in somewhere and it's like, hi, have you stayed here before? It's like, yeah, I stayed here 160 times, Oh, great, welcome back, and this is go back. But this, like, you would immediately see if they stayed here 3 times. You know, like, what kind of pillow they like or whatever. So you get this information, which normally maybe a 5-star hotel could actually give you, could now be just anyone can provide this level of service. Cronen did this really well. They have adopted this well. They also used our open API to trigger all kinds of things to become much more efficient. They save around 10 hours per week in front of house through just some levels of automation, but also via the API. Yeah. The third trend that we see is perhaps maybe not so much guest experience, but it's about total revenue. And I think I saw something before this. This is, of course, a big thing. Like, how do you monetize? Like, how do you drive new revenue streams in your properties? Like, how do you actually make money on all your square meters you have in your property? This is a big thing. What we see is that hotels have actually become more agile in their way of working with this. So we have had this now for a while, but what we see is that hotels, much broader, are now like taking spaces they have, like their lobby. You can probably see co-working areas in your hotel lobbies these days much more frequently than you did just like a year or 2 ago. And like these kind of initiatives, like it's, this focus is very good. They will just keep being strong, I think, in this area. What we also did is that we have these services within Mews, we call it, but then you can book these spaces per month, per week, per day, obviously, or per night and per day, and also per hour. How many of you have booked a hotel room per hour? Charles, is that it? Oh, Jesus. I did so. Nobody raised hand. That was good. But you don't have to book it for that reason. What you think? This property would be very good at. You could for people that have delayed flights or just have a little layover for a couple hours. This is possible to book then in Mews, right? Can I go over just a little bit? No? So our ecosystem looks like this today. We have gone from quite a slim PMS to a much more of a full kind of ecosystem. On different places, you need to collect all this different data, right? And which has been an issue. So this is a very quick on the innovation in the hospitality industry. So it has been very slow, right? In the beginning, you had like these first levels of automation was like, okay, if X does this, like what happens, Y does something. Then you had machine learning, which could recognize patterns like RMSs. But then a couple of years ago, generative AI was released and we could collect data, but you still need to prompt this quite a lot, right? You need to like tell it what you want out of it. The next phase is agentive AI. This is going to be a huge game changer next year, we think. And what it does is that you have, instead of just prompting something to happen, you will have these agents that can actually plan, they can set goals themselves, they can execute tasks, they can collaborate with each other to come up with a solution, and they can take actions. It's like Santa's little helpers. I also like that, it's Christmas, man. Think of these like extra little helpers in your hotels. What we are looking at now, this is a big focus. So just 2 examples on how this can look like. We have an operations agent. The operations agent can help with, for example, planning, staffing, training. It can keep up with trends or changes that are happening in the environment. It can change rooms. It can do all kinds of things. Can also keep an eye on inventory levels and this stuff. Last one. So the guest agent. Guest agent is like a concierge and a salesperson all at once. These ones will connect to different channels of communication. It can also provide staff members, obviously, like we have with the smart tips, but can also take actions on this. So obviously, this is a bit, how can you say, this is a little bit early still, right? We're setting it up, but it is early days, and it sounds a bit dangerous. So the first iterations of this, when we are releasing these ones, it will be very much like in the first phase that we are, how can you say, you don't have to let the agents make decisions. The agents can give you a suggestion that you need to action. As you get more and more comfortable with these decisions that they would have made, you can then let these agents start actually executing tasks and making decisions of their own. We're also looking to see how our users can build their own agents within the platform itself, which is also very cool. I tried to speed up Charles in the end, but if you want to learn more about this, you can scan this QR code. I don't know, maybe some of you have read it, but it's actually a really nice document with how we see AI in the future. Good? Yeah, thank you.